my only sunshine. Hey, come in, Auntie. Shh, she's asleep.
Already? That's good.
Thank you for watching Diani while I hit these interviews. Mom's at the res, so she can't get here.
Oh, I know, but I can only help you out today. My work schedule is really bad. Now, what do I need to know?
I wrote out her schedule, got everything ready in the fridge. I hope I pumped enough milk. And of course, just text me if you have any problems.
You really did your prep work. Good for you.
Trying to be a good mom. Although I was supposed to take Diani for her checkup at IHS, but the scheduling lady messed it up so bad. I had to sit there for 2 hours with the baby just to figure out what was going on. They needed to check Diani's glucose and all the things they do for a newborn. It was so frustrating because IHS is still a hotspot for people with COVID coming in. So we left before I got her 1 month checkup slot scheduled. I still need to get it. Is that a big deal?
Yes. Try again. Maybe they have Saturday hours.
I guess it's hard to get there. It's an hour away. How do I look?
Office material for sure. You're hired.
I'm so nervous.
Don't be. You're going to do great.
I don't have a lot of experience. There's not a lot of alternative employment options on the res, and the surrounding areas always
Deliberately overlook us.
Exactly. How'd you get your first job?
I smiled a lot. Hija. What I despise about job interviews here is that you have to present yourself as the right kind of native.
So, how do I do that?
Here's the right kind of native 101. Don't speak our language. Don't mention anything about culture. It scares them. Don't mention powwows. If they make offensive jokes or ask about sports team mascots, just shrug or pretend you didn't hear. Hija.
But we have to be real.
Do you want the job or not? Their system is not designed for our people. They don't see the world the way that we do. They act like there are no Native Americans left when there are millions of us. Now, look around, folks. We're still here.
I just gave birth to one more.
Right. So, what jobs are you going in for?
The first one is a receptionist at an automotive company. The second one, if I can find it, is with Very Green.
Lawn care?
And the fertilizer products. It's $14.50 an hour. They have a couple of openings in some divisions. It's a big company.
Kimmy, I don't see you upselling lawn care at a garden center.
Okay, not permanently, Auntie Nona. Of course not. I'd like to go back to school and get a better job, but I have to make money first to do that, to go back to school. It's a vicious circle, a treadmill. Gotta make money to go to school to make more money. But I gotta find a way to make it work.
So I work with a lady at the customer counter in my store. She's Lakota. She even has her master's. And she told me that when she worked in prevention for a while, there was a guy there who didn't even graduate high school, but he got his GED and he made more money than her. A lot more. She went to school forever and still has to fight for her pay as a woman. She said men always get paid more. Or if you're white.
I know.
I'm just saying, even if you did get more school, it doesn't seem to make much difference to the people that hire. It's their system. They keep it that way.
For now, I just need a job.
Won't the baby's dad help support her?
No, and I'm not going to court.
Okay. Listen, you're going to pick up some food on the way back, right? When you go get the food, be sure you go to the children's center for the baby's food and then the adult center for your food. They won't give food to you at one place, even if you have your kid with you. Like, you can't give your baby food from the adult center.
But that's another 2 stops farther away. That's insane.
I know. I promised your mom I would help you get your life started here. It's not easy.
Well, I gotta go. The first interview's an hour away, and I got to take the bus and their connections.
So plan on 2 hours each way, minimum. Try to freshen up in the mirror before each interview. The bus is always grueling.
Hopefully you can stay all day.
Yes, today I can. Is your phone charged up? I don't want you getting lost. Or disappeared. I am very worried about that, and your mom is too. They are taking us right off of the streets these days. Look around you all the time. Stay in crowded areas.
I'll watch out. Please take care of Diane. She's all that matters to me.
Hey, if you get one of these jobs, who'll watch Diane?
I don't know. Are there any Native American childcare places where they know that children are sacred?
I haven't heard of any. But maybe your mom will move down here and take care of her.
Maybe. She hasn't been doing well since Dad walked on.
I know. I want to help her. It's so sad.
We all loved him so much.
I heard she lost her job.
They fired her because she took a week off when Dad walked on. 1 week.
They don't know how to mourn. Ceremony can take days and nights.
They don't understand the journey to the spirit world. They walk on at their own pace. You can't hurry them.
Don't say any of this in your interviews. If they ask, just say your dad passed away recently. That's the term that they use, passed away. And they don't understand time the way that we do. So just say recently.
She's awake. I should cuddle her.
Nope, go. I'll take care of her. I promise.
Text me if there's anything.
I will. I will. Good luck, niece.
Bye, Auntie.
You start whenever you feel like it.
Hi. So Mrs. Alberta, the lady who runs the daycare where I drop my son off, told me about this and asked me as a father to write something. So I did, but I don't have it memorized or anything, so I'm just going to read it. Here I am. I'm here. Okay, so from what I was told, the people watching this, you are involved or do stuff with helping kids or work in programs or what have you that deal with kids. Okay, that's good. There are a lot of problems and we need people to fix these problems. So good, and thank you. Okay, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I've been homeless up until a couple of months ago. I was homeless for a chunk of time. So I guess I'm here because I can talk about what it's like to have a child and be homeless. I'm doing this because that is true, but I want to be really clear, that's not what I want to be. I'm not looking to be the face of a parent who is homeless. I'm doing this because Mrs. Alberta asked me to, and because maybe there's some things that you don't know or understand about the system. It's 10 times worse if you don't have a home. And I can't give you the statistics and stuff, but if I can shed some light, fine, I'll do that this time. But as I write this, I'm feeling a little salty because it's humiliating. Being homeless is humiliating. Talking about being homeless is humiliating. Not having a job is humiliating. Not having money is humiliating. Not having a roof over your head is humiliating. And then on top of that, almost have your child taken away. So being this person right now, right here, in front of you, is humiliating. I hope you get that. It's humiliating. But if this is going to help you to do something so that the next person doesn't have to show up and do this, then fine. That's why I'm doing this. And because Ms. Alberta asked me to, And if it weren't for her, I don't know where me and my son would be right now. I owe her. I owe you. I owe you. Like most people, I never expected to be homeless. I didn't expect to be a father either, but I'd always been on my own and taking care of myself. Then I met a woman who I thought I could settle down with. She was strange like me, so it seemed like a pretty good match. She was spontaneous and unpredictable, and I liked that about her. But after having our child, her actions became more extreme. What used to be spontaneous became unreliable. What used to be unpredictable became reckless and ultimately harmful and dangerous, especially for our son. It came to a head when I came home to find the apartment we shared looked like a tornado hit it. Furniture was destroyed, dishes broken, cabinets and sinks and the counter busted. Fortunately, the only thing not touched was our son. My son's mother was taken out of the apartment forcibly and was later diagnosed as having delusional schizophrenia. The landlady, for obvious reasons, evicted us. And since now I had my son and no one else to care for him, my job options became limited, to say the least. I could talk about the pit in your stomach when you see what little money you have becoming less and less. I could talk about going into stores and having to decide what can I get that will keep me and my son from starving for the next few days with $5. I could talk about the long, long lines we stood in to get free food when the money ran out. I could talk about all the shelters for families, but don't allow men, or the ones that are for men, but don't allow children, or the jobs that I didn't get because I didn't have an address, or constantly trying to get on the library computer to look for jobs in a place where my son and I can stay and maybe some benefits, but it's not really clear how to get around those sites, those websites, and then the time is up. But you've probably heard of all of it before. Doing something about it is probably why you're here. And again, that's good. But I want to talk about something that I don't know if you know. My mother used to say, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And that's what has been one of the biggest lessons for me. It's how I get talked to. It's how I get looked at. It's how I get treated, even by people that are there to help me. The way I get looked at and questioned as an able-bodied man in the situation I'm in. It's the how look and the attitude that says how I must be a bad father. And how can you put a child through this? And how come you have the child instead of the mother? How come you don't have a family to help you? How did you end up like this? Don't they realize that I ask myself that 1,000 times a day? I know you can't do much about the way we get judged. I know you can't do anything about the way I judge myself and how I've done everything I could possibly do to keep my son with me, and how I pray this doesn't have a lasting effect on him. My son is the reason why I'm still alive and why I'm still here. What's so wild is that I always thought kids were a burden that I didn't want. Now this kid is my reason for living. I'm one of the lucky ones because I found Mrs. Alberta. Or maybe she found me. Now I can leave my son someplace that I know is safe and where he'll be taken care of. And that's why I was able to get a job. And now me and my son have a roof over our heads. It's one room at the moment, but it's our room. So I'm doing this so you will help people like Miss Alberta, who I know is struggling too, but will never talk about that and just wants to talk about us. But helping her helps us, because now when I come to pick up my son, I can see him laughing and playing and happy. And I see him look for me. He looks for me. And I look for him. And that's how we both know we exist. And that's all I have. So thank you.
I don't know why it started, but it did. I started crying and I couldn't stop. La lágrima. The tears just kept falling like a waterfall. And there were so many times in life when I just wanted to cry, but I didn't. Mama always said to be strong.
The world is cruel, and we can't get upset that life is so hard. Así es la vida. That's how the world is. That's how God made it. And we have to be strong.
I hear my mother's voice in my head all the time.
Do not cry, Cristela. You have to be strong.
So I never cry. And I would never cry in front of my sons. Twins. They're only 4 years old. And I know if they see their mama ever crying, they would get scared. And I don't want to scare my babies. I'm not a robot. Claro, I have feelings. I get mad. I get scared. And a lot of times I get so sad. There are many times that I want to cry, but I swallow the tears. Sometimes I can't take it. I go to the bathroom and I try hard to make sure that the tears don't come out. And as soon as I feel the tears, I take a deep breath and I swallow. No matter how much it hurts, because swallowing your tears hurts so much, especially in your throat. It's like, you know, your throat can't hold, aguantar all those tears. I can barely breathe sometimes, but I force them down. I always felt proud that I could swallow my tears. But that day was different. While we were waiting in the Medicaid office, somebody comes out and says,
Okay, listen up. We close in a half an hour. There will be no more appointments for today. You're gonna have to come back tomorrow.
I couldn't believe it. After we were waiting there all day, somebody just came out and told me that I had to come back the next day. Yeah, it was too much. La lágrima just started coming out and they wouldn't stop for a whole week. Even now, I still cry. And for no reason. I guess all the tears that I swallowed never went away and they're just coming back up. The morning that I went to the Medicaid office was casi un month ago. We got to the office very early. It opens at 9 a.m. I know there's always a line, so I got there at 8 a.m. And there was already a line que llegaba around the building, And Doña Rosa usually takes care of the boys when I used to work at the restaurant and when my husband was looking for a job. But she's been sick, so she couldn't take care of them. Lo que pasó fue que she got ese coronavirus. Ay, Dios mío, ese coronavirus es un diablo. I lost my job at the restaurant because of it. Everybody lost their job. And then the owner went out of business. He tried to stay open, but he couldn't pay the bills. He couldn't pay us. And right before coronavirus, my husband lost his job as a construction worker. I couldn't believe it. We lost our jobs at the same time. Imagínate. But you know, that was good because we got to spend more time with our twins. But we couldn't be like that forever. We didn't know what to do. I started to feel depressed. What if we never work again? What if we lose our apartment? What if we become homeless? But I tried to forget about all the problems and I just swallowed my tears. I had to do something. I was able to get some money from unemployment. Entonces, I figured out how to get Medicaid. Ay, Dios mío, that was a bendición. And then I had an idea, you know, I'm a good cook. Mama will always tell me that.
Mira, mira, if you were a man, you could be a big-time chef. Pero, since you're a woman, you have to make sure you cook good for my family.
Pero look at how the world is. They hired me as a waitress in a restaurant, but one day they needed me as a cook, and I was so good, even better than the man. They promoted me to cook in the kitchen.
Mentira. You are a chef? I can't believe that.
Sí, mama. Okay, I'm not really a chef, but a cook is important. But it didn't matter because I didn't have a job. And I was so scared. Me and my husband didn't have a lot of money, but I remember something Mama always said.
No matter what happens to you, mija, if you have a flour, sugar, and manteca, grease, you will never starve to death. You can make churros. You can even sell them on the side of the road.
I never forgot that. People have to eat every day. And since I'm a good cook, so I decided to make the churros to sell. We didn't have a lot of money, but we had enough to start buying food. And I used the coche to go shopping. And guess what? It worked. I couldn't believe it. Then I decided to start cooking different kinds of food for people to take on their way to work, like arepas, tostadas, empanadas. That way I could sell it on the street. I made sure it was food easy for people to carry. I mean, we didn't make a lot of money, but at least we wouldn't be homeless. And some days I sell all my food, but other days it was horrible. I don't sell anything. My husband was looking for a job. I was selling food in the street. I felt that we were going to be okay. My sons were going to be safe. And that's all anybody wants for their children. To be safe, happy, healthy. Then, one day, two men stole my coche with all the food. I couldn't believe it. My husband was so mad. We went to the police, but they didn't care.
Speak up. Coach Trey. I don't speak Spanish. What's coochie?
Nobody spoke Spanish. They just kept yelling at us. What's a coche? I keep telling him the coche is used for shopping when I buy food.
Oh, you mean a shopping cart? I don't want to be one of those that say if you come to this country, you have to learn English. But I'm going to say it. You got to learn to speak English.
Claro, I know I have to learn English, but he thinks I'm a boba. I take the classes in the community center in the library. I also have a YouTube on my phone and I watch the videos. They have very good videos to teach you English, pero coño, I can't think straight right now. Somebody stole my shopping cart and then my food. Then he wanted proof that I really had a coche and that I was selling food. ¿Qué?
Do you have a vendor's license to sell food? How will I be able to identify your cart?
It's blue with the flag of Guatemala on it.
Do you have a vendor's licenso?
I didn't know anything about una licencia to sell food. I know other people that sell the mangoes in the plastic bag and the corn with the cheese. I didn't know about the license.
You gotta show me the license. And also you have to itemize the food that was stolen. Exactly.
Okay. Dos tostadas, churro y arepa.
How many?
I don't know.
Then I can't fill out a robbery report without being able to itemize the inventory that was stolen. I need something. The vendor's license and the receipts for the food you bought.
We didn't have any receipts. Pues, that was that. It was very bad for me. But I didn't cry even then. Imagínate. I'm a very religious person. And when I came home, I gave thanks to God. At least those two men, they didn't hurt me. And maybe they were hungry. Maybe they needed the food. Oh, but my husband was so angry. And we didn't have any money to buy a new coche. And then a miracle happened. He got a job at Home Depot. ¡Qué bendición! It's a good job. I gave thanks to God for fin. Something good happened to us. But then I get a letter from the Medicaid office because my husband has a job that he makes too much money that we can't get the Medicaid or we have to pay for it. ¿Qué? I was so shocked. I was mad. I was confused. We have to pay for the Medicaid. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. But I just went to the bathroom. I locked myself and I looked myself in the mirror and I saw the tears gathering in my eyes and I told them, no, you can't come out. I swallowed my tears. I heard my mother's voice say,
Dios aprieta, pero no ahorca.
Dios aprieta y no ahorca. Oh, I hate that saying. God squeezes you, but he doesn't choke you. Why does God have to squeeze you in the first place? God should be making life easy for people, not making it so hard. I was so angry at God. I don't really mean it. But okay, it's just sometimes I do. I really don't want to be angry, but I was still very angry. Coño, when is something good going to happen? Instead of something bad happening, I decided to go downtown to the Medicaid office That day, I had no one to take care of my boys. Sorry, I know I said that already. So I had to take my boys with me to the office. And I didn't really want to bring them. They're so young, but they're twins and maybe they could play with each other while we were waiting on the line. ¿Pa qué fue eso? We waited all day. Even little boys get tired of their video games. Come back tomorrow. I am tired of waiting on lines. And then I just started to cry. Right there, right in front of my boys. I kept crying on the bus home. I didn't care who saw me. I wasn't even embarrassed or ashamed. I came home and I cried all night. My husband called some of our friends from La Iglesia. They couldn't help me. They made a circle and said prayers around me, all around me, pero the tears, they just kept coming out. They wouldn't stop. My husband, he even called my mother to speak with me.
Stop crying. What's the matter with you? You know that my mother was orphaned at 12 years old, and she never cried. She found someone to marry her so she could take care of her brothers and her sisters. You do what you have to do.
Pero mamá,
You have a place to sleep and food on the table, ¿verdad?
sí.
Get yourself together and stop this nonsense.
That wasn't the point. I remember my grandmother never talking and being very cold. Maybe she needed to cry and never did. And back in Guatemala, even though she was an orphan, she had family to take care of her, other family. Her whole family lived in the same village. And I know when people get upset or depressed back home, sometimes they will call una shamana. That's like una espiritista. This is the person that you call that can help you by speaking to the spirits and ancestors. Pero it is hard to say that in this country because then people think you kill chickens. Or because I'm from Guatemala, they think we kill people because they hear that the Mayans did it. But here, we're alone. And my husband, he was so worried. I couldn't sleep. I went to the doctor. They gave me pills to fall asleep. But the pills didn't make me sleep. Instead, they made my heart start pounding really hard. I got even more scared. And I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I knew I had to do something, but what to do? God, can you help me? Por favor, I cannot stop the tears from coming out. I went to the doctor again and he told me, and I told him, hey, the pills didn't work. He told me to go see a therapist. A terapista. ¿Qué? No one I knew would go see a terapista. Espiritista, sí. Terapista, no. You don't do that. You can't let people know your problems. But the tears, they wouldn't stop. And I made the appointment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? You were at the Medicaid office. Oh, and they told you what? I didn't really understand you. I don't mean any disrespect, but I don't understand your accent. Speak more slowly.
He told us no more appointments for today. Ay, Dios mío, ya, no vale la pena. Me voy, that's it, I'm leaving. Look, I know my English isn't that good, but lots of people can understand me. I hope so, anyway. I was so frustrated, I just kept crying and screaming, coño, I need help. I had to find a terapista that can speak Spanish. I called the doctor again. He kept giving me phone numbers that I kept calling, and nobody spoke Spanish. I called for almost 6 months. I kept praying and praying. And one Sunday after church, someone came up to me and gave me a card. She put it her fingers to her lips and she said, shh. It was a card for terapista. I never saw her in church before. And after she gave me the card, I ran after her outside of the church, but I didn't see her in the streets. I never saw her in the church again. It was like she disappeared into thin air. Maybe she was an angel. I know people don't believe in angels or spirits or ancestors.
Yo, sí, I believe in angels. Y los espíritus también.
Really? Me too. I believe that spirit is all around us. So I'm not a loca. I thought I was going crazy.
No, tú no eres una loca. You're just having a hard time. That doesn't make you crazy.
Maybe it was an angel that gave me your number.
I believe so. I'm glad you called me. ¿Cómo te sientes?
I feel okay. I didn't know what it was gonna be like to speak with you. Pero gracias. Gracias por su ayuda. I feel like my tears will stop one day.
Gracias a los ángeles.